Hello and welcome to today's video. It is all about the gift frequency within this 12th gene key of pure heart, and it is the gift of discrimination. I've had a lot of resistance to making this specific video for some reason. I tried recording it the other day and then I turned it off. I thought about doing it yesterday and I wonder if it's because of the title of this gift. Discrimination doesn't sound inviting or alluring to me. It kind of sounds a bit off for gift frequency. So yeah, it's interesting. But obviously the show must go on. And I did find it helpful that the first thing Richard Rudd says within this chapter is he acknowledges how odd of a name this is. Discrimination may not sound much like a gift, but when you truly understand the 12th gene key, you will see it has great power. So, because he's able to acknowledge how I feel, crazy enough, yeah, here we go. He's going to reframe the way we view discrimination. And he starts off by offering us his own personal definition. He says, to discriminate is to know inherently what and who is healthy for you in your life. What and who is healthy for you in your life. This is how he's describing discrimination. Okay, well, I know that eating enough protein is healthy for me. I know that moving my body is healthy for me. I know my friend Zach is healthy for me because he's high vibe and is also on a quest to become the best version of himself. I know that going in the sunshine with my auntie is good for me because of the vitamin D. And so you're able to identify what people, places, things, objects, food, yada, 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 bring you joy, health, homeostasis, and balance. This is discrimination, as through the eyes of Richard Rudd. So first contemplation, who and what are healthy for me? Let's start to practice this art of discrimination. Can you identify people that make you feel uplifted? Not only when you're hanging out with them, but after you're hanging out with them, you feel the resonance of high energy lingering around you. Can you start to observe what foods and drinks feel good in your body? Again, not only when you're eating them, but also the aftermath. I feel this aftermath section says a lot more than the actual current indulgence, whether it's with the food, the friend, the thing, the place. Because anything can feel good in a moment, and it's the aftermath, the energy remnants that really speak volume to the actual thing you were just engaging with. So practice this art of discrimination. Identify who and what is healthy for you in your life. And if you're like me, and you're taking this very seriously, you can get out a piece of paper and even write the words food, people, places, things, drinks, and fill it out. What's good for me? What makes me feel healthy? But also, don't take it too serious because it's meant to be fun. So he says that this gift of discrimination is when you take your vanity, this shadow frequency within this 12th gene key, and you turn it into art. Going from vanity to creation. Sounds nice. And then he tells us some examples like music. You could turn your vanity into music, into language, into dance, drama, and above all, love. So he's talking about transmuting vanity into love. Yeah, that sounds great. I'm super on board for that, but how do I do that? That was what I'm thinking as I'm reading this. And he specifies here that vanity, this shadow frequency, is only about loving the self. Right? It's what's good for me and only me. Whereas true love, discrimination, is ultimately about loving the things and people outside of yourself that make you feel good. So this is a very nuanced difference. I'll give you guys an example. The person who's embodied in their own vanity will say, well, I love going shopping, and so we're going shopping. Come on, Caitlin. We're doing this because this is what I want to do. I love doing this. Maybe you didn't ask Caitlin what she wants to do. Whereas the person who's embodied in the gift frequency, gift of discrimination, is aware of who and what bring them joy, bring them health, bring them homeostasis, but they're also interested in creating that homeostasis for the whole experience. So maybe they've identified, I like being around Caitlin. She makes me feel good. I like shopping. How about I ask Caitlin if she'd like to go shopping? Enlightening the fact that maybe Caitlin will say no. Maybe Caitlin wants to do something else, go on a hike, jump in the ocean. They're willing to extend what feels good to them to others and see if it gets picked up, and also mold to the whole. They want everyone to feel good, this person in this gift frequency. And they're able to focus in, say that they don't go shopping, right? Caitlin wants to do something else. They're able to focus in on the fact that, well, at least I'm still with Caitlin. I love being around Caitlin. She makes me feel awesome and happy and sweet. And instead of fixating on the fact that they didn't get to do something else that they love, they start to fixate on what is currently in their sphere that they do love, that they are experiencing. So it's essentially attention to gratitude. Giving attention to the things that are already present in your life that feel good, make you feel good, and saying thank you to that. You're being discriminatory with your energy, with your attention, with your precious ability to observe. And instead of observing what's going wrong or what's not working out, you're choosing of your own free will to observe what is in attunement, what is making you feel good. You're noticing and you're saying thank you, whether that's verbally, with your attention, or in the way that you feel. Oh my gosh. And then the next line, sorry, I forgot this, but the next line is, the 12th gift is about feeling. It's about feeling. Yes. You will be strongly motivated and moved by feelings and emotions throughout your life. And the gift is to communicate your feelings. The ability, once again, to tell Caitlin, whether it's verbally or through action, that you love her, that you appreciate her, that you recognize that she makes you feel good and you want her to know that. And in being able to identify what does make you feel balanced and natural and easy and effortless and sweet and healthy and content, you're also able to see the inverse of that. The person embodied in this gift frequency of discrimination is able to identify when something or someone is not, something's off here. No, I don't know why this person doesn't make me feel good, but they just don't. And sometimes there will be logical reasoning to support this, but more often than not, it's about feeling, right? This 12th gene key is about feeling. You'll be able to start to sense what feels off and also what feels on. So as I'm talking about discrimination now, I'm kind of thinking about the fact that essentially it's just a heightened intuition. And I kind of envision a dog sniffing out things, able to easily and effortlessly come into attunement with its own internal guidance system, leading it to things that bring it what it needs: food, water, shelter, joy, and then straying away from mean dogs and foods that aren't edible. So this is pretty powerful. You're able to sift and sort through all the various options that you're constantly being bombarded with as you navigate this world. And so I think it's also worthy to mention here that there's a selectivity, is that a word? There's a selection process, I'll say that comes along with this gift. In having the heightened intuition, the awareness of what's good for you and what's bad for you, what feels good and what feels off, you now have a choice to select. And you do start to become more selective, develop standards. Whenever a person is faking or has a concealed agenda, the one with the gift of discrimination will immediately feel a deep discomfort. How many times have you met someone you don't even know? They haven't done anything wrong. Actually, they were really nice to you, maybe. They were nice to your friends. Maybe they even bought you a coffee, but something's off. I don't know what it is. And so the person with this gift doesn't even question it. They don't say, well, oh, but they were nice to me, and oh, maybe I should give it. No, they just fully trust in here. It's all about feeling. They feel off. Okay, I'm going to trust that feeling. So the person with this gift trusts how they feel, trusts their own internal guidance system to lead them in the right direction more than they trust the logic, the mind, the reason, which is a lower frequency than the heart, right? This person's not waiting around to gather evidence as to why something is not good for them, why someone is not good for them, why some experience is just not aligned with them. They notice how they feel around that person, place, or thing, and then they select to feel good and do something else. And more often than not, later down the line, in the timeline, it is revealed why maybe you got a weird feeling about someone, and then the evidence pops up later. But this person doesn't wait for the evidence to act for their own joy. This person prioritizes their own happiness, their own health, their own feeling of rest. This person ultimately trusts themselves.
I literally gasped in the aisle.
They have a deep respect for purity, for authenticity. And I'll just note here, the reason they have a deep respect for purity in others and in general is because they themselves are working on cultivating that own purity within themselves. You attract what you are. And then he brings it back to the idealism, which we talked about in, I want to say, the 10th gene key. No, not the 10th gene key. In the 11th gene key. He brings it back to the 11th gene key. And he says that these people are also idealistic, but they understand that idealism requires a balance of pragmatism and discrimination. Balance being the key word here. This key is all about feeling. And in order to feel, you need to be balanced. How many times have you been so stressed out you don't even know how you feel? You don't know what you want. You don't know if you're hungry or tired or you want to take a shower. You don't know what to do first because there's just too much going on. You need balance, relaxation in order to tap into how you actually feel and act in accord with that truth. So this person's very practical. Very practical, yet somehow they still trust the heart more than the mind. They're balanced. They have a balance of practicality and heart-based consciousness. He says that this person is constantly striving for something higher and purer, but not in a starving way. In an admirable, I'm totally picturing that, admirable, yearning way, in a devoted type of way. They truly just want to be the purest, brightest versions of themselves, and this is why they are being discriminatory. And this naturally is raising their own frequency and sets them apart from the crowd. So it's fairly obvious when you've met someone with this gift. They just, kind of similar to how you can, when you meet someone, you're like, I don't like them. I don't know why I don't like them, but I don't like them. In the exact opposite way, if you meet someone with this gifts frequency, you're gonna be like, you know what, I like them. I don't even know why I like them, I just like them. It's kind of this inverse. And the person you say that about has this gift. And the reason, by the way, you do like them is because you're sensing that they trust themselves, that they're relaxed, that they're balanced, that they move through the world in a way that's from here, more than in a way that's from here. And that is why you're attracted to this person, subconsciously, subliminally, because relaxation is attractive. Trust is attractive. And he notes here that a lot of the time, this person will, once again, transmuting the shadow frequency of vanity through art. They love art, they create art in all types of forms. And most importantly, they express themselves in a way that is authentic. So even if it might not be conventional art, they're owning up to it, however the painting comes out. They value authenticity, purity, and that is also what they're putting on display. I like how he adds like a little silly fun fact. I feel like he doesn't do this a lot. He said that these people are great food discriminators, music discriminators, and language discriminators. So they have opinions. And again, not from this like judgmental standpoint, but genuinely they know who they are and what they like. They know who they are and they know what they don't like. And they're open for change, but they're not willing to change just because everyone else wants something or doesn't want something. And this is very key. So they're not judgmental, but they are opinionated. I mean, talk about the balance of that, right? That is like, if you can nail that, yeah, of course you're going to be attracted to that type of person. It's very attractive when someone knows who they are and isn't afraid of showing it. And I guess the second contemplation I'll offer you is think of that person. Who came to mind as I was talking right there? Someone who knows, yeah, that girl, she just knows who she is. And she struts around, not in a cocky way, not in an arrogant way, but she like genuinely owns up to who she is. And she's not afraid of like just saying what's on her mind or what she wants or what she doesn't like. She's not being annoying or inconvenient or pushy. She's just being herself. Kind but firm. Who is this person that you think of as I describe this gift frequency of discrimination? I think there's real power in identifying someone in your real live time that embodies this, so that as you watch the rest of this video, you can hold them in frame of mind, and maybe next time you see them, you can observe this gift in them. Because in the act of observing the gift in another, you start to observe it in yourself. I wonder if you guys heard that. Someone just swore. Hope she's okay. It's my neighbor. Back to this. So yes, they are great art lovers and artists themselves. So because it's all about feeling, this person has a heightened experience. They're sensitive. And this manifests in all ways, right? You can only be sensitive in the ways that are quote unquote good. They feel all emotion very deeply. And he notes that this is the whole point of the human experience, right? We're here to learn, we're here to feel, we're here to express. So it's beautiful. And he recognizes here that art is the transformational field in which we can transcend emotion and touch a higher plane. These people with their heightened ability to sense see the value in churning that emotion that comes up and using it to create art rather than allow it to drown them or overwhelm them. They see their heightened sensitivity as extra currency to create. And they do. I like the poetry in this sentence. He says, it's both sweeping and consuming, yet at the same time highly refined. Bring that person that you thought of earlier back to mind. He or she, they, is both sweeping and consuming, yet highly refined. Getting into the last paragraph of this, he kind of takes a little detour and reminds us that life is about transformation. I love when he throws in a random universal spiritual truth. Life is about transformation, and death is the symbolic movement from one stage of consciousness to another. This is true. I have no comment on that. I feel like it speaks for itself. The last thing I'll leave you guys with, he says that this 12th gene key represents the mythic passage from one state to a higher state. And this is going to kill your identification with the past, allowing you to be transformed into something permanently and radically different. And so that was interesting, this last paragraph, because I agree with everything he said. However, I feel like it was kind of random. We were talking all about discrimination in art, and then he took this random segue. But nonetheless, still a beautiful chapter. And I feel like I derived a lot from this. I made a million notes as per usual. I don't know if you guys can see that. There's like this weird edit on my camera today where in the background is supposed to be. But anyway, yep, that was a gift frequency. Tune in next time to get into the 12th city of purity. Hey guys, thanks again for tuning in with me for this Gene Keys episode. I also just wanted to come on here and start promoting my one-to-one coaching that I offer to women and girls ages 16 to 35. If you followed me on Instagram for a while, you might be a little bit familiar with my story. I was a model in New York City for 5 years, and in that time frame, I did quite some damage. I developed a really severe eating disorder, body dysmorphia, chronic anxiety. Oh my gosh, I couldn't even go out to dinner without thinking about how much calories, how much I'd have to overwork out in order to compensate for what I was eating. All of those issues led to quite a depression and turned into PCOS, and I also lost my menstrual cycle for over 5 years. All of this amalgamation of issues led me to soon realize that something needed to change. I went through much work. Many people helped me to get to where I am now, and I'm so thrilled to say I'm living such a more abundant life, and I don't feel zapped and drained and fear of judgment anymore like I used to. I would love to offer what I've learned through my own embodied experience the meditative techniques that have gravitated toward me, and the own verified games that I've made up and curated to help you walk home to more of you and who you really are, so that all of these things can stop draining your energy. You know, all the constant comparison to others and to your people on Instagram, all the over-analysis about working out and what you're eating or what you look like. All of these things are not what life's about, as cheesy as it sounds. And I would love to help you come into more unity with you if you struggle with any of these things and you're a woman or girl between the ages of 16 and 35. So feel free to reach out to me if one-on-one coaching sounds resonant. You can feel free to DM me through Instagram or contact me via email, both of which will be left below in the description box. So much love and aloha to you guys, and I'll see you all in the next video.